Hi, I'm Linda Shenton-Matchett, author, speaker, and history geek. Welcome to my channel, and thank you for watching Moments in History. If you're a long-term follower, you know that most of my videos are surrounded around lectures of the people, places, and events that occurred during World War II and the early part of American history. Today I'm doing something different. I'm creating a meal. In a separate video, you're going to learn how to make grated vegetable soup, and in this video, we're going to be making beef a la polenta for four, and we're using Lola Wyman's Better Meals in Wartime, which was published in 1943. Chock full of tips and techniques and recipes that helped people deal with the rationing endpoints and items that were not always available. The cookbook is a treasure trove. Interestingly enough, when we went to the grocery store today to do some of the items, we found that we couldn't get everything that we needed for the recipes, so we have had to be flexible, as housewives had to do back in World War II. So the recipe, which you'll find at the end of the video, includes cornmeal, and you're going to learn how to make polenta, and we have ground beef, onion, bacon, which is only one slice because, again, it was very closely rationed. Stewed tomatoes, celery, carrots, and a little bit of parsley. So grab your pen and watch, and you'll get to make a lovely meal for four. To make the polenta, we're going to take 2/3 cup of cornmeal, and we're going to put that into 2 cups of boiling water. The water has also been salted to provide a little bit of flavor. And we're going to stir vigorously until the mixture gets thick.
You didn't happen to see a whisk around here, did you? No, it's okay. Brilliant. The lump in her jaw, I was going to use a fork, but this will break up lumps.
I'm not sure if they had whisks during World War II, but
they
there
did.
You go. And as you can see, it's already starting to thicken. That's pretty cool. Oh, I think even I can make that. Once it's thick, it's then poured into a shallow pan to cool. Now, again, because we are doing this at the condo where we're staying for a week on vacation, we've had to punt a little bit. And we do not have all of the materials and supplies that we would normally have in our home kitchen. So we're using a what looks like a 7 by 9 inch pan,
14.
or 7 by 11, and
14.
it's a little, apparently it's a 7 by 14.
Pretty sure.
And it's a little larger than what we would normally use. Okay, so now we are going to chop the bacon. We have 1 slice of bacon. Again, bacon was very heavily rationed, and so people did not use it but for little bits at a time. So a bacon and egg breakfast was mostly egg rather than bacon. So we're going to chop that bacon, and then we are going to put 4 tablespoons of margarine, which is what the recipe calls for. Again, butter being very heavily rationed and difficult to come by. So lard and margarine were used much more often than butter. So we're going to put 4 tablespoons of fat into the fry pan. The next step, now you'll notice through the magic of filming that we have taken a break to clean our cutting board and our knife. We are not cutting that onion on the cutting board that was being cut with bacon. The bacon was raw and never combined raw meat with vegetables when you're chopping. So be sure to clean your cutting boards, or use a separate cutting board when you're cutting meat, and then following that up with vegetables. Again, challenges at the grocery store, so this called for 1 medium onion to be chopped. But as you can see, this was a very, very large onion. So we are going to only use half of that onion for this particular recipe. If we use this entire onion, it would be way too much for that ½ pound of beef. So the onion was cut in half, and then several slices, and then turned a quarter turn and chopped again to give us a fairly medium dice. Meanwhile, it's too bad that you can't smell the bacon cooking on the stove. It smells very, very yummy.
Oh man, that smells good.
Yeah, it's starting to get brown, and we have now added the onions, because the onions do not take as long to cook as the bacon. Once the onions are brown, we will then add the ground beef. We are then going to parboil diced celery and carrots. So we're now going to chop those into a medium dice. Cutting the celery stalk down the center. And then cutting them crosswise. See that we have fairly uniform pieces of celery, which is approximately ½ cup. We will then do the same thing with the carrots, and those will be peeled to get the skin off. Carrots can be scrubbed, and you don't necessarily have to peel them, but most people prefer the peel to be off the carrot. You'll notice we're using a 10-inch chef blade to cut these things, and it is a very sharp knife. It is always safer to use a very sharp knife than a dull knife, and the right tool for the job is a chef knife and not a paring knife. An 8-inch chef's knife will work just as well.
So I'm going to cut this carrot off about the height of the same size. I'm going to cut that there, so that'll be one dice size. I'm going to split these in two for the other.
Uniformity in size of materials that are going into your dish is very important. Otherwise, you end up with pieces that are undercooked or overcooked. And that does not provide for a good dining experience. So again, these carrots are very uniform size to each other as well as to the celery. So we need to we need to brown the ground beef. And parboil.
The onion's getting browned in here, so it's good time.
Now time to cook. Okay. You need a pot of water for the parboiling.
Oh yeah.
The ground beef is nicely browning, and we've put the water on the stove to begin that boiling, so we can parboil the diced celery and carrots. And what exactly does it mean to parboil something?
Means it's partially cooked. Just getting the outside, getting it
Somewhat tender.
somewhat tender.
That way, again, the key is you want the textures and the dish to be cooked in its entirety the same way. So by parboiling the carrots and the celery, they won't be overcooked by the time they reach the end of the cooking after having been combined with the rest of the dish. So you get them started, but then they will finish cooking with the remainder of the dish. The next step is going to be mix flour in the tomatoes and add with the parboiled vegetables to the meat mix. And it's 2 tablespoons of flour to the stewed tomatoes. Now this is calling for 1 cup can, and this is 14.5 ounces. The flour added to this is going to help thicken the mixture once it gets into the dish. And by adding it to the tomatoes, I would assume that means it's got less of a chance of lumping when you just, if you were to pour it just directly into the fry pan with the onions and the meat.
This is an interesting technique. Typically, you'd make a roux with
Right.
oil and flour.
Sure.
I've never done this before. This would be interesting. Fascinating. I mean, that's like pink tomato juice.
Right.
Awesome.
Right.
Okay, this is nicely browned.
I need to parboil those.
Yeah, still waiting for the boilish to come up on it.
Okay. So how long does, I know until it's done, but
Like 1 or 2 minutes. It's
So-
not.
so parboiling takes 1 to 2 minutes depending on the size of your pieces.
I'm going to add the carrots first. They take longer.
So basically they sit in the water.
Yes.
It's not a real technical or scientific, well, scientific, it's not technical.
No, you're just getting these semi-cooked, partially cooked. Well, that's right, there's no seasoning in this. I think this needs some salt. But that comes later.
Correct. So, in order to, we're gonna have to salt and pepper this ourselves to jazz it up.
Oh. You didn't see that.
No. Apparently it's not a salt grinder. Yep, you got boiling in there.
It's 2:45, I'm going to give it about a minute and a half and I'll
Okay.
take those off.
Then what will happen is you're going to add the drained vegetables and the tomatoes in there,
Right.
and it's going to simmer for 30 minutes. We're now going to drain the vegetables into a colander, get all the water out of those.
Where do these go?
Those go in there, along with the tomatoes.
And you'll probably see this turn non-pinkish to more of a red tomato once the flour cooks. I'm guessing. That should be what happens.
You're going to mix that in to combine, and then you will simmer that for 30 minutes. In order to allow it to simmer, we have added additional liquid. We've added the remaining, this was a 14.5 ounce can of tomatoes, so instead of just using the cup, we're going to use the entire can. To serve our beef a la polenta, we're going to cut the polenta into 4 equal squares. We had put it in the refrigerator to cool it down. And then pour a portion of the meat and vegetable mixture over the polenta.
About a quarter of it, right?
Mhm. Thanks for watching Moments in History. As you'll recall, episodes are loaded the second and fourth Friday of every month. Be sure to click the subscribe button if you want to see future editions, and click the like button to tell us how great you thought this video was. If you'd like to see more history facts, go to my blog that's located on my website at www.lindashentonmatchett.com. Thanks for watching and have a great day.